Hi, I'm Smitty with the SuperCoach Hub, and welcome to the round 21 ZIG or ZAG, where I analyze the top three trade ins and outs for the week and look to see if there are similar players that could be a better buy or sell option than the more popular players. Will you ZIG or will you ZAG? So, first up, the sells for this round, and the top sell for this round is Tino Fa'asua Maleawi. He is suspended for 3 games, and he can actually be sold to any front row forward or second row forward besides David Fifita, who's the most expensive. But yeah, he can be sold to anyone else. Um, you can afford to hold him. I think it's more for head-to-head players who are going to make their finals. They can cover that position. They can make their finals, and then Tino comes back in 3 rounds' time. So he could be very valuable in the end. But if you're an overall player more so, and yeah, it's a lot of money on your bench. I think he's 800,000 or around about a little bit over possibly now, but yeah, it's just a lot of money sitting on your bench, and you can trade him for someone else to get those big points. And my ZAG for Big Tino this week is Teague Wilton. So a bit of an obvious one here. He got a knee injury, so he's likely going to be out for a few weeks. It's not owned by that many people, but still a fair few people did pick him up when he dropped in cash. He's worth 533,000 as well, so that's again a lot of money sitting on your bench if you've got him. Might be out for a decent amount of time, possibly for the rest of the season, just waiting to hear on what happens with the results. But yeah, he's got a big break even too, 105, so he's an easy sell. Moving on to the second most sold player this round is Mitchell Moses. So he's 813,000 and with 112 break even. Now, a lot of people are looking to swap Moses for Nathan Cleary, who returns this week. Um, Possibly people are trading Mitchell Moses for a Hines or Sean Johnson as well. They're clearly the top three halfbacks. Mitchell Moses he scored 40 something last round, so a little bit 41 last round, so a little bit uh, not so good there, but he's still got a 95 5 round average. So 95 points, 5 round average. That's still really, really good. I just find it hard to go against the two of the other big three, Cleary, Hines, and Johnson. So he can be held, but I just feel like it's a risk not having one of the other three in there instead of Moses. The Eels have coming up. They've got the Cowboys, the Storm, the Broncos, and the Panthers all away games, and a bye in round 27. So that is a real tough run for the Eels ending as well. They have a couple of good matchups in there as well. Dragons and Roosters at home in rounds 23 and 25. But I think the hard games outweigh the good there. So yeah, I think he's a sell as well. And my ZAG for Mitchell Moses is Nico Hines. So I'm only putting him in here because he is in the top 10 sold at the moment. I don't agree with this one. I think if you have him, you should hold him. And if you don't have him, you could possibly buy him. But I think most people have him. He can be sold to either Cleary or SJ with money to spare. So that is pretty important. He's 962,000. So it's a lot of money. Yeah, you'll make a bit of money if you don't have Cleary at the moment. The Sharks also play the Panthers and the Rabbitohs in rounds 22 and 23. Rabbitohs back to full strength, and then the Cowboys who are on a roll at the moment in rounds 25. So that is a little bit of a hard run there. And the Sharks, they're really poor against top eight teams. They just can't get the win against the bigger teams. So I think those 3 games, Sharks could struggle, and Nico could possibly struggle as well. They also play Manly at home this round, so that's a pretty good matchup there. And they play the Titans and the Raiders at home as well in their run home. So a couple of good games in there and a few real hard ones. So as I said, I won't be doing it. I own Hines. I won't be selling. I think it's too hard to sell a player averaging 100 points a game this season. I get why people are doing it. They want to get on Cleary or maybe looking at getting an SJ if they don't have him and freeing up some cash. But you see when Hines is on the field, he just scores points so easily. Yeah, so some people are doing it, I won't be, but just something to think about there. And then moving on, so the third most traded out player this week is Ronaldo Mobile, and he's 524,000. He's got a huge break even of 147. So his two last scores are 9 and 19 points. So that's just absolutely terrible from Mulatalo. Don't know what he's doing. He's not scoring, not getting any attacking stats. So that's his base is so low, and he's just scoring only his base points, and that's about it lately. So he relies mainly on those attacking stats. He's got a really big break even as well, so it's pretty much trade him out now, or he'll lose too much cash, and you may as well hold him because he'll be under 400,000 next, or under 500,000 next week in the 400,000. So yeah, I'm an owner, sorry, and I will be holding him. I just think he's a good backup centre wing. I'm looking to play him this week as well. He plays Manly at home. Manly can leak points on the edge for sure as well. So yeah, I'll hold him and play him this round. You look at his scores before that 9 and 19, and it's 60s, 70s, really, really strong player all year. I think he got another really low score in the first round, but other than that, his scores are pretty decent, really high. So hopefully it's just a little low period for Mulatalo. But yeah, I think he's a good hold or a sell this round to someone who is definitely more consistent. And my ZAG for Mulatalo this week is COC for Talakai. He's 631,000 with a break even of 82. And he's been benched this week, surprisingly. So we'll wait and see what late mail says as well with this one. He could be a late inclusion into the side at centre, or possibly even second row forward, where he has played before. But he's at a good price to be sold. So if he stays on the bench, he's 631,000. You can sell to a lot of centre wings there, or if you want to sell up to a bit of a more expensive centre wing, maybe that's worth about 700,000. You only need a little extra cash, so he's good value at the moment. He can be sold to a lot of players, but yeah, just watch for late mail there if you own him, because he could be a late inclusion. And now to move on to the round 21 buys. So the top three most popular players this week. First one is Nathan Cleary, who's returning from a hamstring injury this week. He's 857,000, and he's got a pretty big break even at 129. We all know he can score more than that, and quite a bit more than that. But yeah, it is a generally pretty high break even for Cleary. He's playing the Bulldogs at home this round. So on paper, that looks like a really good matchup there. He's played, I think, around 10 games against the Bulldogs, and he averages 56 points against the Bulldogs. So that's actually pretty low for Nathan Cleary. That's a little interesting stat there. Panthers' last 7 games, 5 of them are at home. And they've got a bit of a mixed run too, so some harder games in there and some easy games too. I think he's a hard one to fade, so I am trading him in this week as well. I think he's a very scary non-own. So yeah, if I didn't own him, I would hate to watch the Panthers games. But that's not why I'm buying him. I think he'll average pretty high for the rest of the season. I think he'll come back strong. Hasn't played in a while, and yeah, I think he'll probably miss his footy. He's been away for a while, so I reckon he'll go on a tear. And I see maybe Nico Hines and Sean Johnson owners. If you own those two, you could possibly not go Cleary this week and just wait and see how he goes, because Sean Johnson is killing it at the moment. Hines obviously is as well. So there's kind of 3 top halfbacks right now, and it's hard to know who to own out of the 3. So yeah, I can see why people are not going there, but I think he's a definite clear trade in for this round. And my ZAG for this week for Nathan Cleary is Sean Johnson. So he's been killing it lately. He's 731,000 with a break even of 34. And this year, Warriors have been on a tear. They've been killing it. And he's averaging 77 points. So, yeah, he's just setting up tries, scoring them, kicking goals, line break assists, line breaks. He's turning back the clock this year. And the Warriors have a great run home. So they do have a bye in there as well. So their run looks like Raiders this round, then a bye. Then they've got the Titans, Tigers, Manly, Dragons, and finish up with the Dolphins. So that is a dream run. Probably one of the best runs you can get home. So yeah, it's hard to pick between those two. I don't own either at the moment, but I am trading Cleary out of the two. But Sean Johnson is about 120,000 less as well, so you could free up a bit of cash if you go SJ. Warriors have a really good run. I think you'll get a lot of attacking stats in there. So yeah, good little zag for Nathan Cleary if you want to go against the grain there. Sean Johnson is already pretty highly owned though as well, so you won't be getting in a pod, but yeah, interesting for the run home with the halfbacks there. And then moving on to the second most traded in is Latrell Mitchell. So Latrell Mitchell, he's 814,000 roughly, and he's got a big break even of 139 at the moment. And he's coming back from injury as well. So he's got a 80-point average this season, pretty decent. And Rabbitohs have a great run home as well. So they have a tough game this round in the Broncos, but then they've got the Tigers, then the Sharks, who usually struggle against those good teams, then the Dragons, the Knights, and then a bye after that in round 26 for the head-to-head finals. So that's a tough one. And then they finish on the Roosters, who have been pretty underwhelming this season. Looking at Latrell last season when he returned from injury about midway through last year or a little bit later, he averaged 97 points per game from returning from injury. So that's just something to note there because he's returning from injury again this season. He could kill it coming straight back as well. I am going to wait and see after the Broncos game. I think with that big break even, you can afford to sit and wait and see how he pulls up after his injury as well. So after the Broncos game, the draw just gets a whole lot better. So yeah, he's a wait and see for me. But if you get on early, he could go big and fire with Rabbitohs having all their players back as well this round. And then moving on, my ZAG for Latrell Mitchell this week is James Tedesco, and he's at 671,000 with a break even of 103. And Roosters, they don't have any more buys, and their run home looks like this. They've got Titans, Broncos, Manly, Dolphins, Eels, Tigers, and then finish with the Rabbitohs. So that is a pretty good run home. They've got some good matchups in there with teams who leak points to. Teddy, we all know, is a proven player. So he's averaged over 70 for the last probably 6 or 7 seasons. He's just been one of the best fullbacks looking back in SuperCoach. And he's a great pod to Latrell. He's $140,000 cheaper. So that's an interesting one there. If you can't free enough cash, if you can't get Latrell Mitchell in, if he's too expensive, I think Teddy's a good alternative. He's a pod as well. I think he's owned by about 10% of all super coaches, which is crazy for Teddy, just because there's so many other good options at fullback this season. The playing field is a bit more level with fullback. There's no clear standouts, except for maybe Drinkwater at the moment, but he's so expensive now, over $1 million. So yeah, Teddy's a good value buyer at the moment. And he needs to step up too. He's had a bit of a lackluster year, Origin loss as well, Roosters failing out of the 8 at the moment. So I think he'll be looking to turn it on in the last few rounds. And another option there I just noticed was Dylan Edwards. He's only 611k now with Cleary back. They might see Dylan Edwards get a few more attacking stats too. And moving on to the third most traded in player this round is Adam Fanua-Blake. And he's 654,000 with a break even of 40. He's at good value as well. He's averaging 72 points per game this season. And yeah, only just over 650,000. So that's pretty good value there. Warriors have a good run home. Like I said, with the Sean Johnson trade. Warriors looking good, except for that bye next round, but that should be fairly easy to cover now that only one team has a bye each week. And we all know Adam Fanua-Blake can find the try line, loves a try, loves a try assist. So I think there are more attacking stats in him from now until the rest of the season, especially with that good run. And at the moment, he's a little cheaper than Payne Haas because a lot of coaches are also flocking to Payne Haas, and he's about $40,000 cheaper. So yeah, a bit more of a value option there. And my ZAG for Fanua-Blake this week is Payne Haas, and he's at 695,000 with a break even of 88. He's returning from injury as well. He's got a 75-point average per game this season. So yeah, just being normal Payne Haas, just bulldozing players and yeah, staying on the field for big minutes. So that's always good for front rowers because they get so many points in base. If they just stay on the field, they just get those tackles and runs up, which Payne Haas does regularly. Broncos have a bye in round 25 as well. So if you're going one or the other, they both have a bye. Payne Haas this year only has 1 try, 2 line breaks, and 0 try assists. So I feel like he usually gets a bit more than that per year. So I think, if looking at that, he might be a bit undervalued now, and I think he could see the try line a couple of times or get a couple more attacking stats stuff between now and the end of the season. So yeah, I think Payne Haas is probably the best front rower at the moment. So maybe people are going to Fanua-Blake because he's a bit cheaper with a big score as well last week. Fanua-Blake got in 120 odd, I think. But Payne Haas, I reckon, will probably average more than him between now and the rest of the season. So that's the Zig and Zag for this round. And thanks to the SuperCoach Hub. And see you next week. Cheers.